Well, more importantly, did they confiscate the yak?
Welcome to this new podcast. Bit weird, but fair enough, I guess. And it's really just a celebration of all the weird things that happen in this world. And there's certainly no shortage of those, so I think we've got a fair bit of content to work our way through. I mean, here's a good example for you. We've recently celebrated St. Valentine's Day. Now, it's a day associated with love and expressing love, etc. But the Saint Valentine that the day is named after really didn't do anything to have that associated with him at all. He was a bishop who preached to Christians in the Roman Empire in the 3rd century and was jailed for such and had his head cut off. So there's not a huge association with love at all there. Bishop preached to people he shouldn't have in the day and time, got his head cut off. Now there's a day named after him associated with love. Bit weird. Anyway, in this podcast series I'm going to be joined by different guests each week, and we're just going to talk about some of the weird stuff that's there. And I guess really at home you can decide whether you think what you're hearing is fair enough or not. It doesn't really matter which one you decide, because there's nothing we can do about it. These things happen, they're out there. But I hope you enjoy. I'm joined now by a very special guest. His name is Matt, and Matt's an old friend of mine. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Stu, how you going?
I'm going very well. I'm enjoying getting back into podcasting a little bit.
Yes, it is your passion.
Well, speaking of podcasting, you have a podcast of your own. It's called The Chattering Classes. What's all that about?
Well, it's one I do very, very sporadically. It's just chatting with people. Originally, I stole the idea completely from Desert Island Discs, the old BBC, where you interview people and talk about movies or music that connects to them. But then it sort of evolved in just kind of a rambling chat for 40 minutes or so every episode with people I know or teachers. A lot of teachers involved, talking about like what teaching means to them, but also elements of their life. Some of it's very silly, some of it's I like to move between the silly and the deep as much as possible.
Yeah, and you can find that on iTunes and other potty places, I assume.
That is correct.
Now, teachers, you are a teacher yourself, aren't you?
That is very correct.
So what's the weirdest thing about being a teacher then?
I mean, the weirdest thing about teaching is other teachers. Like, there's a lot of weird other teachers out there who sometimes you think, right, if my child was in your class, maybe I'd be just working out ways of, their timetable has to change or things like that.
So I assume you're excluding people you work with now, right?
Yeah, you know what? That's fairly accurate. Yeah, I'm not including people I work with now, but in the past I have worked with several teachers. I mean, it's like any job. You have good and bad, weird, strange, very competent, strangely incompetent people.
You're saying it's beyond, eccentricities here. It's like, it's disturbing weird rather than kooky weird.
Absolutely. I've seen a teacher be so bad at their job that they had 6 students in their class at one stage, and by the end of the lesson they'd kicked 4 of them out. So I mean, so that probably goes beyond eccentricities. I'm thinking of another teacher who, this has nothing to do with their teaching, but used to come into the staff room and eat yogurt out of a kilo tub with a carrot and dip the carrot in.
Hang on. Oh, sorry. Using a carrot as a spoon?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Peeled?
Oh, that's a very good question. I didn't want to look close enough and get close enough to the scene, but I worked with him for a number of years, and he would do that regularly.
Okay, now, important question.
Yeah.
Did the carrot get gnawed as the tub got lower, or did we wait till the end, until all the yogurt was gone before eating any of the carrot?
So what he would do, I guess it was like the tub was for the week. So he would eat, say, 1/5 of the tub of yogurt and then eat the carrot, and then the next day bring in another carrot.
So 1 tub, 5 carrots. Is that what we're saying here?
Yeah, now, I don't know how you go with podcast titles, but that's pretty good. But yes, exactly that.
Now, was this lunch or a snack?
That's a question I can't answer. I think it was more than likely just like the snack, like a recess break, a short break or something like that.
But you're saying this every day, so nothing else was brought in for snacks, just the...
I don't know if someone had a word to him. I just remember very clearly it happened way too much and everyone was just like, can we...
It was an intervention.
Well, maybe someone higher up had to come in and just say, maybe, here, have a spoon. Have a spoon, eat the carrot separately. I don't know. It was just disturbing. Again, it had nothing to do with his teaching ability. Just weird.
But you're saying like a committee got together and went higher.
Well, you know what? Probably that's again. If you want to talk about the weirdness in teaching, and it's probably similar in business, but there's a lot of committees going higher up for things that aren't necessary.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'd say it's the sort of thing that might suit teachers' personalities more so than other areas, but that's just a personal opinion, you know. Yeah,
you do find a lot of teachers too who there's a good varied, I guess, range of teachers who were you can find out what they were like as students pretty quickly, and you can find the teachers who were A students at school and always did their work and were always, you know, thought school was the most important thing. Obviously, they still think that exact way, and that comes across because they're still fastidious and they're still rule followers and they're the ones that go to the committee as quickly as possible with a yogurt concern rather than saying, "Oi, can you just put that tub of yogurt down or at least get a spoon?"
A new sign above the staff room door, I'm guessing.
Well, there probably was, you know, and the other one is there'd be a passive-aggressive note, like, carrots are not spoons, or, I don't know, just randomly for everyone. Or maybe what tends to happen is there's one person who's doing something like eating yogurt with a carrot, and so they'll send a whole school email out saying, by the way, you should eat yogurt with a spoon, not dip a carrot into it and then lick the yogurt off the end of a carrot. And then everyone will be like, why have I got this? Is this like about me?
It's just, here's just a random thought I've come up with. You know, if it can apply to your life, then do. But yeah, no, that's not a random thought that someone's had.
Yeah, you do get weirdly specific whole school emails and you're like, this is about one person, surely.
Anyway, let's get back to the weird stuff, all right?
Okay.
I read something just before we came on, which I'm going to call the weird law of the week.
Oh.
Now, I didn't see a source, so this may well be bullshit. But let's run with it for now and assume that it's bona fide. In 2007, the Chinese government passed a law which stated that it is illegal for Tibetan monks to reincarnate without the government's permission. Now,
okay,
that's an astounding thing for the Chinese government to be discussing. Well, I was going to say parliament, but they don't really have a parliament, do they? They have like a boardroom of sorts, I think, don't they?
So, I mean, that is true, but like, do you need to break that down? Like, do they have to apply for it before they die, or like how does the logistics of it seem a little there's a bit of red tape involved, isn't there?
Well, I don't know. Is there great shame on the family if you see a yak that sort of behaves a little bit like Jim did before he died? Like, and go back to Jim's family and say he's clearly reincarnated. There's shame on all of you.
Well, more importantly, did they confiscate the yak? Like,
Or,
sorry,
yeah, look.
we're taking Jim.
Yeah.
We warned you didn't fill out the form.
In the stocks. Jim being, of course, a extremely common Tibetan monk name.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, it's shortened, but it's abbreviated for his friends. But yeah, very, very common.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go ahead and say that I might try and find something with a source for next time, because I'm not sure about that. That sounds just a little too kooky, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, I have a feeling it's true, really, just to try and shut down the Dalai Lama's influence, right? Wouldn't that be what it's about? To be like, sorry, Dalai Lama, you can't reappear when you die in a body of a young child because you haven't done the paperwork, so we don't recognize you? I don't know.
Oh, so it's just like an extra way to screw the Tibetans.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a bureaucratic way to like, sorry, no, Dalai Lama, no, you didn't fill out this form. Sorry, not welcome.
I suppose it's one of those things too where it doesn't really matter if the Chinese believe in it or not. If the Tibetans believe in it, then
and again,
that has the effect.
What is the effect of this law if it's put in place? Like, what do they confiscate? Put the soul back. You got to send it back.
Yeah. Well, here's what the monks say: the effect. I'll tell you what the effect is. It's pissing me off.
Oh, yeah, Ghostbusters.
Sorry, I just felt I need to quote Ghostbusters there for a moment.
It's fine by me.
So we'll move on from that slightly dubious law into Stu's weird story of the week.
Righto.
Now, I know this one. I saw this with quite a few sources, so I'm quite prepared to believe this one.
Mm-hmm.
Lucius Licinius Crassus, who was a Roman consul and statesman, had a pet eel. All right?
Yeah, okay.
It's not that unusual. A lot of upper crust Roman Senate types had little ponds, pools that they kept fish and eels and so on in.
Okay.
Difference being in this instance that Crassus loved his eel so much that he bought it necklaces and earrings.
Okay, okay. Do eels have either necks or ears?
Well, the necklace was fine. It's pretty much nothing but neck. But
yeah, but you need I mean, I know what you're saying there. An eel is pretty much neck, but in my understanding, you need some kind of shoulder to stop the necklace from falling off.
You should feel pretty confident in that understanding. That is absolutely my understanding as well.
Although, if the eel is swimming and it's always in a horizontal position, then I guess the necklace is going to. It's something I've never thought about, but now I can't stop thinking about it, is how long would a necklace stay on an eel as it was swimming through water?
Well, here's the thing, though, that I've just realised. In none of the things I read did it say they actually put them on the eel.
Oh, he just bought them. Yeah,
so he might have just kind of had it in a fancy case, kind of shown it to the eel, I guess, when the eel swam close, just kind of,
So it's like a family heirloom. Like, hey,
yeah.
See this? This
yeah.
watch. It's 100 years old.
Yeah.
You can't have it.
Don't take it out of the box.
No, you can't wear it.
Yeah.
Just it's over there. That's yours.
I do have an amusing image though of someone trying to jam earrings onto an eel. Although I think that would well, they're notoriously slippery, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, like. Can you pierce an eel? Is that something that's easy to do?
It's just stabbing it with.
A very good danger of killing it.
Mm. So Crassus's eel apparently would recognise the approach of her owner.
Right.
Would swim to the pond edge to be fed by hand. Typical treats included green figs, milk curds, and ripe arbutus berries crushed by the fingers. Arbutus berries being apparently strawberry-like berries, but not quite strawberries. So that's
a well-kept eel.
That's a fancy eaten eel.
Yeah, fancy eel.
Yeah,
and going, oh, there's old mate. There's what's his name? Crassus.
Crassus, yeah. Well,
Crassus, yeah. Here comes Crassus. He's going to give me all these exotics.
Yeah. Well, just imagine the water bearers walking in and seeing the eel eating figs
off a cheese plate. Basically, he's just made like a cheese antipasta platter. He's got a little fig paste here. You got some fig paste, some berries, some curd, some cheesy.
That's right. While the water bearer goes home for a bit of millet and, rat, probably.
Yeah, exactly right. Oh, yeah, that's a good living eel.
Yeah, and finally, Crassus apparently held a funeral for the pet that was quite well attended. So there you go.
Well attended.
Yeah, that's the story of the fanciest eel ever known.
Is there any truth to the rumour that the eel died after being pierced for its new earrings?
They say he ate a bad fig, but he had lots of pin marks around his head.
Yeah, or he was at the bottom of the lake because the necklace that was around him was like a Mr. T style 18 chains.
Well, funnily enough, the eel didn't like to fly either.
Oh God, we've had a Ghostbusters reference and an A-Team reference.
Yeah.
We know, this is what we're dealing with.
Yep.
This is where we belong.
Yeah, it's in the wheelhouse. And that's about all I've got to say about that eel.
That's a good eel.
You have very kindly brought a weird story for me to hear.
Well, I haven't. I've got to tell you about the best thing I've learned in the last 12 months, which is about fatbergs.
Fatbergs.
Yeah, a fatberg. You know what a fatberg is?
Well, I've read the occasional stories about massive congestions in sewers of fat.
Yes,
is that what we're talking about?
That's exactly right. Yeah, so I was talking to my friend Alison, and she just offhandedly said, "Oh, like a fatberg," and I said, "So what did you say?" And she's like, "A fatberg, like a big congealed fat." And I literally sat at her feet on the carpet like a student and just said, "Tell me everything there is to know."
So you hadn't heard about fatbergs?
I'd never heard it. I hadn't heard about what a fatberg was, and now I'm obsessed with fatbergs. So a fatberg is, like you said, it is a congealed mass of like old fat, mainly made up of like baby wipes. What they found was people using baby wipes and flushing them.
Yeah, because the ones that you're not meant to flush.
Yeah, but what they found was that they had on a lot of packaging like flushable wipes, but they found very quickly that they didn't break down like the manufacturers said. But there's no way of knowing that if you're not testing correctly until there's a massive fatberg in your sewer system caused by old fat. So all the fat that you wash down the drain after cooking or after just from your body as well, a lot of fat comes off when you have a shower, all of that stuff congeals with baby wipes and forms these, obviously, icebergs, but they're made of fat. And what they found was that they were in the Thames more than anything else. But when I looked it up, it just had the phrase notable fatberg. So someone had documented, and it's my favourite phrase of the year, of 2019, was notable fatberg.
Well, it implies some fatbergs are just not worth your time.
That's right. That's not much of a fatberg. That's an okay fatberg. But they're huge. They form in the sewer system, and when they congeal and harden, then it takes weeks and weeks to remove them. So
yeah, so is a lot of it kind of people cooking with oil and so on, and then washing their fry pans down the sink, and then obviously the oil just doesn't kind of dissipate and disappear into the water. It just kind of has to go somewhere, I guess.
Exactly, and what it actually does is when it mixes with a lot of it was caused by these wet wipes and non-flushable wipes. Because what happens is they form a mass, and then the fat goes onto the mass out of the water and then congeals and just forms a solid, just horrid mass. So there's been some that have been 15 tons that they've found.
Wow.
And so it takes them like 4 to 6 weeks to remove it. They have to basically cut into them
I have
and remove it bit by
many
bit.
questions. Have you? Well, firstly, how long's Alison been studying fatbergs?
Well, that's a very good question. Just longer than me, I guess. I think she read, it was on the news or something, that they found one 2017, which was 250 meters long.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest one they found. It was in Whitechapel in London. 250 meters long, 130 tons.
So that's just causing sewerage backup. The only way you know a fatberg's occurring is when, shit starts shooting out of the ground somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when things, the pipes are so clogged with this enormous fatberg. Imagine going down there, we've got a blockage in the pipe and going, oh my God, this is 250 meters long, it's 130 tons.
Yeah, what do you do about a 250 meter long fatberg? Is it you get the drill from Armageddon or something and start...
Well, that's one of the things I can't work out is exactly like how they get rid of it. All the information that I can find is that it takes them, or the one that was 250 meters long was that they removed it and it took 2 months to remove by cutting it up. But it didn't really tell me with what kind of tool.
But surely that's what we want to know. How did they do that? Well, like it wasn't we'll assume it wasn't someone with a scalpel. It's not that intricate an operation. Although it'd be funny to watch.
If someone was down there that's why it takes so long. I'm taking slivers off. I'm whittling the fatberg down.
But now I'm picturing they just send a lumberjack down who's hewing at it with an axe for a while.
Imagine how hard that would be. That would be harder than chopping down a tree, wouldn't it? Just sludgy. Oh dear.
Well, yeah, because you hack on one side of a tree and it falls down the other side. There's nowhere for the fatberg to go.
Yeah, no, that's right. And you have to take the bit. Then what do you do with it? That's the thing. There's no real discussion of what happens once it's all removed. What do you do with tons and tons of congealed fat and wet wipes?
Yeah, exactly. It's not suddenly not a problem. You've still got to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Look, there's gaps in our knowledge here. I'm just. I'm worried about this.
Maybe the listeners can help us out and get in there. Maybe we can contact someone who actually removed it. Or maybe we could do the work ourselves. But that's probably
or next time you come on, bring Alison with you.
Oh, that's an idea. That's an idea.
She can, Alison, if you're listening, this is your heads up to get in and do some research.
Yeah, and find us how the fatbergs are removed and what do they do with them. I can tell you...
Where do they take broken up fatbergs?
I can tell you this, though. 2 pieces of the fatberg have been cut off, and after several weeks of drying, I don't know who did that job, they are now displayed in the Museum of London.
Right.
How about that?
What, with shit marks and tan tracks and all over the wipes on full display?
Just go, here you go. Everyone come and... Kids, come and look at this fatberg. Have a sniff of that. See what that's like.
It doesn't take much to qualify to get in the museum these days, does it? Just flush some shit down the toilet and then it's going to be on a shelf in the museum before you know it.
But what's even better is that in a strange twist of events, we actually had our pipes in our kitchen were actually getting clogged. So the plumber came and he was like, all right, I put some Drano through or whatever, and that should be right. And then 3 months later, they were clogged again, and we were like, rang the same guy, and he was like, let me just check, and I'll do some hardcore stuff, and I'll put some acid down there, and I'll do all that. And he was like, checking where the pipes go, and he was like, you know what, how old's your house? And I said, we only bought it last year, but it's 25 years old. And he was like, you've probably got like a congealed lump of fat somewhere in the pipes. And my eyes lit up, and I was like, you mean I've got my own fatberg? And he was like, oh, I guess. And I was like, how big would the fatberg be? I wouldn't stop using the term fatberg. And he was just like, it's probably like a tennis ball. The pipe's not very big. I'm like, but how long could it be? Could it be 50 meters long? And he's like, no, it wouldn't be that long. And I just was so excited about fatbergs, and after a while he was just like, I might just go back to do my job. Thanks, mate. Have you seen any other fatbergs? Have you seen actual huge fatbergs? And he's like, what?
Let's sit down, have a cup of tea. Sit down. Yeah. We've got to talk about this.
What? Yeah. So he was just wanting to do his job, but I was like, wow, maybe what's the biggest fatberg you've seen? And he's just like, I don't know. the pipes aren't big. It's not. I don't work in in a big city sewer system, and I was like, oh,
but you can dream.
Yeah,
always
that's right.
dream.
I was just so disappointed. Like, oh, okay, whatever.
But what's he trying to suggest, that 25-year-old houses are right in the fatberg sweet spot?
You know what? That's exactly what he was suggesting.
What?
About 25 years. That's usually how it goes.
Okay, every quarter century, a fatberg doth develop.
Well, yeah, they just build up and up and up. So,
right.
Yeah, now we're more conscious about dumping your fatbergs down the pipes.
All right. Well, I mean, this is clearly a PSA to maybe just give the wipes a miss.
Yeah. So that's what they use.
Don't give wiping a miss. Just give the wipes a miss. Yeah.
But this was, they used the awareness that this enormous fatberg in Whitechapel, London, they used it as exactly like a PSA to be like, hey, stop flushing your wipes, the hand sanitized wipes down the toilet. They don't belong there.
Yeah.
So we haven't waited. We've got to wait. And again, like you said, now we have to wait and see if that has been taken note of.
Mm.
And the only way you find that out is if there's no more fatbergs.
Well, I'm concerned because, yeah, all right, that kind of makes sense that doing that would cause a fatberg. But surely there must be some Frangerbergs down there.
Oh, Jesus.
Don't you think? Because I think a lot of not environmentally conscious people have probably flushed their Frangers over the...
Yeah, that's probably true. But you wouldn't be displaying that. Well, you probably could take it to the Tate Gallery, the art gallery there. You could probably take that down there as a display, couldn't you?
Well, I mean, it could be... Arguably, it could be part of the anthropological exhibit of the museum.
Just a Frangerberg for everyone to come and have a look at.
A Franger for any overseas listeners is a condom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would they call it a Johnnyberg? I don't know. I don't even know if they use the term Johnny in England anymore.
Well, somebody called Johnny Berg would probably go,
hey, what's going on here?
Ease up a little, will you? I don't know why he talks like that. But he does.
Yeah, clearly.
All right, well, thank you for that. I couldn't have asked for a better weird... Well, I won't say story, just a, concept, I guess.
Yeah, so exactly right. It is a great concept. But the thing is, here's something to consider before we finish this discussion. If people take heed of the PSA and stop using their flushable wipes, or stop flushing these wipes, then there's going to be this moment in history of about 6 to 10 years only where fatbergs existed. And then they didn't exist before, and they won't exist again in such a size.
That's an interesting thing to think of. Here's something else, though. What if the fatbergs were the only thing preventing us from an even bigger environmental disaster? And our oceans can't actually cope with the amount of shit that should be being pumped into them from humans every day.
Right.
But fatbergs were the only thing kind of holding up the stream.
Oh, right, like a dam.
Yeah.
It's created a dam to keep... Oh, yeah.
So now there's just the full amount of shit being pumped out there every day. How can the oceans deal with that? I think fatbergs might have been a blessing in disguise, and we're going to find out just how important they were to our environment.
Yes, it was a very good disguise.
Well, the Lord works in mysterious ways, as we know. All right. Speaking of weird things, of course, I'm going to move on to the bit weird product of the week.
Oh.
And it's a catchy title. Anti-pervert hairy stockings.
What the...
So this is...
wait. Anti-pervert...
Yep.
Hairy stockings.
Hairy stockings, yes. So this is from around 6 years ago. And it's a pair of tights you can wear to make it look like you have super hairy legs. to try and discourage fans of upskirting, clearly. So, I can put a photo up on the socials, but I'm sure you can picture it anyway. It's just a normal, smooth lady feet, then what looks like a baboon leg, essentially.
Yeah, right.
Like Steve Carell shaved his feet for some reason. But do you think that'll work? It's certainly...
I think it's just one of those things where you just... Sure, like that's going to stop the person who's trying to look for a smooth leg, but it's just going to attract the hairy-legged pervert.
That's right. Maybe it's just going to attract an even more undesirable pervert.
Well, it's just more of a niche pervert, I guess, is what you're looking at. Isn't it?
But I mean, are we worried about levels of pervert?
Well, maybe, I don't know. Do you want to? It's certainly limiting the range of pervert, but now you've got sort of an esoteric pervert who's been waiting a very long time for a baboon-legged lady to show up, so he can cop a gander of some hairy gam.
Yeah, hairy gam. I think you'd have to be pretty unlucky to kind of to catch a hairy freak.
Yeah, but so you said this is from 6 years ago, so haven't been too... Was there an ad campaign? Was there any kind of marketing behind this?
No, I don't know. I mean, it just appeared as a picture on a blog. So clearly someone had made themselves some hairy legs. And I'm sure, as if you wouldn't put that into mass production immediately. So I'm sure it must have.
Yeah. Did they put that into mass production and then someone said, what about pants? And I'm like, oh, yes. We could just wear pants. If you're that conscious about how can I stop perverts looking at me, looking up my skirt or checking my legs out, I'll just make them really hairy, or I can just wear pants.
You've absolutely come up with the best possible solution there. What about pants often fixes problems as a phrase to be thrown out there. But yeah, I mean, honestly, what can't pants fix? Let's ask that question.
Well, that is a good question. We could be here a while. Well, yeah, nothing springs to mind. There's nothing they can't do.
Yeah. Lastly, thank you very much for being here with me this evening, Matt.
It's been a pleasure.
I'm going to throw a parting oddity at you, if that's okay.
Yep.
Zebra finches sing a special song to their eggs when the weather's hot, warning them that it's getting toasty outside. So, obviously, amazing, quite an interesting thing. But
what are the eggs going to do about it?
What are the eggs going to do about it? That's my question. Yeah, what are the eggs going to do about it? Eh?
I mean, that is pretty remarkable that they sing a special song saying, it's fucking hot.
Feeling hot, hot, hot. The zebra finch equivalent of that.
Yeah.
But what's an egg going to do? Be less immobile?
Just, be more... Oh, God, I'll just move less. I don't know, roll into a shady bit and go into the shady bit of the egg. Like, that is an odd idea. There's got to be a reason.
There is, but I don't want to spoil it with facts. Like, I just like the idea of a zebra finch yelling at an egg and getting annoyed that it's not doing anything.
So next time your significant other is pregnant and it's hot, you just shout at the stomach, at the pregnant belly, like, look out, 41, it's going to be 41 tomorrow, be prepared.
Why aren't you listening, Tommy?
Have you paid attention?
So, well, the answer is apparently that the zebra finch singing to the egg can make the egg slow down its growth rate inside the egg, which then kind of makes it...
So it will delay its hatching.
Well, it will slow the metabolism down, slow the kind of energy being used down,
right? So
that it doesn't, fry, for want of a better word.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
That is incredible. It keeps itself cool inside the egg.
That's it. It's amazing and bit weird, but fair enough, I guess. Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I hope that you want me to come back.
Yeah, and check out Chattering Classes.
Please do.
It's an enjoyable podcast. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for listening. There'll be a new episode next Monday. Find us on the social channels, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you feel like it, leave a rate and review on your podcatcher of choice. See you later.